So the idea for this podcast began about the summer of 2017. I was working on homework for a class called APUSH. Now, for those of you who don't know what APUSH is, it stands for AP United States History. And not only does it spelled out, not only do we call it APUSH just because that's the acronym for it. I mean, AP United States History, that quite frankly spells out APUSH with the first letters. But on top of that, it has this rumor that it's a quite challenging and takes up a lot of your time course, but it's still an extremely fun course, despite all of the extra work it takes on. So anyway, I'm sitting down doing my APUSH homework, which is a huge research project on the 13 colonies, and I'm thinking, okay, everyone's telling me that this class is super hard, but, it's the best class you'll ever take in high school, and it's extremely fun. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, what if APUSH could be for everyone, but it was all fun and no work? What would happen then? Introducing APUSHLESS. This is the podcast where you can take AP United States History, except with no effort. It has no homework, no textbook readings, no tests, and, thank goodness, no primary source documents. Whew. Anyway, this podcast is totally meant for any honors students in high school who, don't really want to take APUSH because there's so much work they don't have the time for it, or they just don't want to do the work. As well as anyone who just wants to learn the history of the United States, this is a perfect resource for you guys to do that. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and show you what's on this show this season. Well, but first I'm going to make you listen to this instead. Support for APUSHLESS is brought to you by Google Sites. As you can tell from this podcast of mine, I like taking on new projects and podcasts because, it's a hobby. I enjoy projects like this. It keeps me busy and entertained, especially when I'm taking a class such as, APUSH. I also don't have a lot of money for this because, it's kind of like a hobby, so I don't have a lot of money, and so I want to get my ideas out quickly, easily, and cheaply. Google Sites is pretty much a website creator. It's similar to any other website creator, such as Weebly or Squarespace, but Google Sites has its own quirks that make it special unto itself. Aside from purchasing a domain, if you wish, Google Sites is completely free, outpacing Squarespace in that regard. Also, there aren't any upgrades for you to purchase with Google Sites, again, aside from the domain, which Weebly makes you upgrade in order to put in elements such as audio. Their easy-to-use interface makes everything so, quite frankly, easy. You can attach any file you want, including audio, and insert things like text boxes and new pages are quite simple. You can also insert gadgets for free, which are special objects that can aid you in certain ways. For example, you can add a gadget that, when clicked on, subscribes to your YouTube channel, or follows you on Twitter. And right now, my listeners can check out my Google site today. Go to sites.google.com/site/APUSHLESS. That is all lowercase to get episodes, show notes, and resources for all of my podcasts today. This season on APUSHLESS. When it comes to the history of the United States, it really doesn't start with just a bunch of people that are just there, and they just kind of are like, hey, let's make a nation and fight people to be free. No, that's not really how it starts. In fact, it actually started with a bunch of Europeans. And before those even Europeans came along, there were actually people there. So we're going to learn about the people who were there before the Europeans came along and made things go completely. Then the Europeans come, settle, and we're going to learn how the Europeans that end up settling there don't really like how the people overseas are treating them, and so they go to war to try and get independence from those people. Then we create our nation, and our nation kind of gets off to a rocky, shaky start. It doesn't get quite as, great as it wasn't very formulated, it wasn't very set in stone back in the day, and I guess with the United States now in a certain chief executive of the United States currently, it isn't really set in stone much either. Nevertheless, you guys are going to be learning about how the United States actually came up with the U.S. Constitution and how they formalized their government itself. Well, then, there's also so many things after that, in between. Civil War, Civil Rights Movement, there's so many different amazing and fun topics about the United States, and we're even going to be going all the way up through Obama's presidency, so we're going all the way pretty much up to present day. It's going to be great. We're going to be spending a lot of time together, and I am excited to be your host and student with you guys. APUSHLESS is brought to you by Google Sites and SoundCloud. The two things you should learn about when doing this podcast are, 1, learn the history of the United States, and 2, get SoundCloud, because both will make your life better. I mean, you get free tracks for free by people and that kind of thing. The producers on the show this week were me, your host, Trevor Bushnell. We are based out of a quaint, small Pacific Northwest town of Ferndale, Washington. But you guys probably don't know where that is, because that's kind of a weird town that nobody really knows of, so you guys can find us on the map. Or, wait a second, we're not on a map, are we? Well, check us on Google Maps, because Google knows everything, right? Anyway, you guys can go to sites.google.com/site/APUSHLESS to find show notes, get other episodes, and find other resources if you are taking APUSH and using this podcast as another resource. I've got resources there for you as well. You can find that on my website, which is sites.google.com/site/APUSHLESS, and that is all lowercase. If you're also wanting to stream these episodes, you can also find us on SoundCloud under the profile APUSHLESS. Go to www.soundcloud.com/APUSHLESS to stream our episodes and follow us there, and that kind of thing. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the first episode next time. Bye.